on the 3rd Congressional District and the associated Kansas Senate, House, and State School Board of Education districts to order. I want to welcome everyone, and I want to thank the cities and legislators in Bonner Springs and Stillwell for establishing in-person locations for this public listening session. We also want to thank those participating at the at-large locations. If you will please rise and remain standing for the pledge. Senator Cluse, would you start us off with a prayer, sir?
Yes, thank you. Our precious Heavenly Father, we want to thank you once again for these listening tour meetings. And as we have heard from so many citizens across this great state, we ask once again that you give us listening ears to what's important to the people of Kansas. Grace us as legislators moving forward in this process of redistricting, and that we do what's right for your people. In your name, amen.
Amen. All right, please join me in the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, right. Now we got reset. All right, the agenda we're going to follow today, we're going to do some welcoming comments from the chair and the ranking member, and then we're going to review the procedures for tonight's meeting. We're going to have an update from Legislative Research Department, and then we'll move into our public input. And we'll start with the in-person locations. So we'll start at Bonner and Stillwell, and then we'll go from there to the at-large locations. I'd like to take a minute to introduce the leaders of the House and the Senate and the House committees. From the Senate side, we have the redistricting chair. He's also the Senate Vice President, Senator Rick Wilburn. The redistricting vice chair and Senate President is Senator Ty Masterson, and the redistricting ranking member and Senate Minority Leader, Senator Dinah Sykes. For the House, you have the redistricting chair, myself, Representative Croft, the redistricting vice chair, Representative Brad Ralph, and the redistricting ranking member is Representative Tom Burrows. I'd also like to acknowledge the Speaker of the House, Representative Ron Reichman Jr., and the House Minority Leader, Representative Tom Sawyer. Again, I want to thank you again for being here tonight. We are excited for the opportunity to hear from the public on specific items we should consider when we start drawing maps. This is the 4th session of 4 in this second round of listening events, and today we'll focus on the 3rd Congressional District. We've received some relevant information that will be helpful in drawing the maps, and we really appreciate that input. I'd like to call on Representative Tom Burrows, the House committee member, ranking member, to provide some additional welcoming comments. Representative Burrows.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, as the chairman stated, I am Representative Tom Burrows, and I want to take this time to express my appreciation to those of you that have joined us online for tonight's redistricting town hall. This is the last of 4 meetings through congressional districts, and each town hall has been important and informative. Like many of you, committee members want a fair and transparent redistricting process, and your input and interest will assist in this monumental task. The information and testimony shared here this evening may very well impact your communities. I strongly suggest you continue to let your voices be heard, submit your testimony, and as we move through this process. Again, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. And again, we cannot overemphasize that how much we want to hear from you, the public, about your communities and what you want us to consider as we're drawing these lines, how things maybe have changed over the last 10 years, issues created by having the courts draw the lines like they did in 2012. We are looking forward to becoming more familiar with your communities. As a note, we've asked that the state elected officials provide their comments at a later time so we can focus on what you, the public, have to say. Thank you to all those who have submitted input through the centralized redistricting email at redistricting@klrd.ks.gov. All members and the public can see that input. As I mentioned in round 1, we are keeping that email open so anyone may submit input 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I want to review the procedures real quick for tonight. There was an online sign-up sheet that was provided for you if you wanted to speak. Each of you that did request to speak received a personal login for the WebEx. We had a practice and test session earlier today, and we asked that everyone that is dialed into this session to display your name or if your location if you're logged in. If you're having issues, we ask that you call 785-291-0520, and our IT staff will help you out, help you resolve that issue. Also, this session, like all the other sessions, is recorded for your viewing at a later time, or, like I said, a later time, anytime you want to look at it. I will call on the next person to speak, and I will also mention the person that's to follow, so that way you're prepared. We will start with the in-person locations, and then we'll proceed to recognize those speaking remotely at the at-large locations. If a speaker is more comfortable speaking in another language and it would ensure the speaker's thoughts are more accurately portrayed, we encourage the speaker to use that language. We will have the comments transcribed and translated following tonight's meeting and provided to the committee members, the legislative body, and the public. We are also using closed captioning. We also have 2 sign language interpreters, Jasmine and Kim. Thank you for being here tonight. You can focus your screen on them if desired, and I'll pause for a moment for Robin to take us through that process in case you want to do that. Robin?
If you would like to pin the interpreter to your screen, go up to Jasmine's picture. There's 3 dots. Click on those 3 dots and then pin to stage. That's going to pin her to the viewing area that you can currently see. There will be Kim that's going to trade out. You'll need to do that when Kim trades out as well.
Thank you, Robin. All right, we have 12 scheduled speakers tonight. As each speaker begins, we'll start a timer. It'll be on the screen so you can see it. Speakers will have 5 minutes to provide their input. We'll have, like I said about the timer, out of courtesy to other speakers, we request that you honor their process and end your remarks on time. I thank you for your patience as we clarified this process. Next on the agenda, what I'd like to do is go to Jordan from the Kansas Legislative Research Department, who will provide us an overview of the census data for Kansas 3rd Congressional District. Jordan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jordan Milholm, Legislative Research Department. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can view my presentation. Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Again, my name is Jordan Milholm with the Kansas Legislative Research Department. Tonight, I'll be speaking about Congressional District 3 and providing some information on the population changes of the district over the past 10 years. A reminder to everyone tuning in tonight that the testimony submitted for tonight's meeting that can be found on either the House or the Senate committee page for redistricting on the Kansas Legislature website. So first of all, I wanted to start off by showing everyone a map of the current districts. As you all know, District 3 is in the far eastern part of the state. It's in this light green color here on the map. The counties in the 3rd district are Johnson and Wyandotte, and then part of Miami County. In 2010, the total state population was 2,853,118 persons, and divided by 4, that meant an ideal congressional district population was 713,280. In 2012, when the districts were redrawn, the third district had a population of 713,287, which was a deviation of 7 persons from that ideal population, which is less than 1%. Earlier in this year, we received the 2020 population numbers from the census. The state total population is used to determine whether states gain or lose a congressional seat. We found out that the 2020 total population for Kansas was 2,937,880. That's a gain of 84,762 persons statewide, and Kansas did not gain or lose a congressional seat. Taking that new number and dividing it by 4, that means an ideal congressional district population is now 734,470 persons. Currently, the 3rd district, as it sits today, has 792,286 persons, and that's a net gain of 78,999 persons since 2010. That also means that the district, as it's currently drawn today, is 57,816 persons over the new ideal population, which is a 7.87% deviation. This next slide highlights the current congressional districts and population changes. So Congressional District 1, since 2010, it lost 12,505 persons and has a current population of 700,773. Congressional District 2 lost 265 persons since 2010 and has a current population of 713,007 persons. I've already mentioned the numbers for Congressional District 3, and then Congressional District 4 has a gain of 18,527 persons and a 2020 population of 731,814. This next map shows a map of the current House districts in Kansas, and these maps actually show population gain or loss by House district. So orange districts mean that the district lost population, and green districts mean that the district gained population. We've taken that map and then overlain the congressional district lines so you can actually see House districts by congressional district and the gains or losses. The darker the color, the more the loss or gain. So darker orange means a district lost more people, and darker green means a district gained more people. This next map is an inset which shows the House districts in Johnson and Wyandotte County, Kansas, as well as the portions that dip down into Miami County to show the entire 3rd congressional district here. Next, we have a similar concept for the Senate districts in the state. Again, these are population gain or loss by district, and then we've overlain those congressional district lines on top of that. And again, this is an inset of the 3rd congressional district showing Senate gain or loss by district within that 3rd district. I also wanted to mention that both of these maps are available on the Kansas Legislative Research website. We also have maps showing county gain or loss, as well as the congressional district gain or loss, and tables at the bottom of each of those maps that show specific numbers on those population changes. I also wanted to highlight other KLRD resources that are available. So for each map that will be going to committee this next session, there are a number of reports that are run for each of those maps. Any of those maps that's considered in committee, again, will have those reports run, and those will be posted on our KLRD website. You can see an example here of the different types of reports that are available. If you visit our website now, you can actually go back and see some of the reports that were run back in 2012, so you can get an idea of the types of data that will be available to you when these maps are considered. You can visit our website at www.ks.gov, and there is a redistricting link on the left-hand side that you can visit to go to our redistricting page. Additionally, I wanted to highlight ways to contact our office in case you have questions about the process. You can visit our office at room 68 West in the State House. You can call our office at 785-296-3181. You can visit our website. You may email staff with questions at redistricting@klrd.ks.gov. And I've also included the contact information for the specific members of our redistricting team in case you wanted to reach out directly. Again, as I stated earlier, the testimony for tonight is all available on the legislature website, and that also includes a copy of this presentation in case you wanted to take a look at it again later. Mr. Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'll go ahead and hand it back over to you.
All right, Jordan, thank you. And just as a reminder, I'm going to call the next person up and the person to follow, just so they're ready to go. And so now it's time to hear from the public, and we're going to start in Stillwell. First person up is going to be Amy Carter, followed by Bruce Carter. So Welcome, Amy, and if you'll please just state your name and your organization if you're representing one.
Hand it back over to you.
Person up is going to be Amy Carter, followed by Bruce Carter. So welcome, Amy. If you'll please just state your name and your organization if you're representing one.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can, but we also hear an echo from somebody in the room.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Amy Carter. I'm a private citizen and resident of Overland Park in Senate District 37 and House District 8. I appreciate the opportunity to supply testimony in support of transparent and fair redistricting. Our number one priority should be ensuring that we as voters are choosing our representatives, not the other way around. As I mentioned, I live in Senate District 37, which includes the southernmost part of Johnson County combined with rural Miami County. I've attached a map to my written testimony. If you could refer to that, I am in the very northern tip of Senate District 37. My neighborhood is split between Blue Valley and Olathe school districts. We live in Overland Park, but our kids attend Olathe schools. My grocery store is in Olathe, but my bank is in Overland Park. High school sports schedules are largely comprised of games between the two districts along with Shawnee Mission. Where I live specifically is much more closely aligned with Olathe and the rest of Overland Park than rural cities that are also in my district like Paola, Edgerton, and Hillsdale, where houses can be miles apart. The Senate District 37 representative who currently represents Miami County does not attempt to represent the interests of my neighborhood or surrounding Johnson County neighborhoods. In fact, she can't be bothered to acknowledge my emails I've sent about issues that matter to me and my family. The most populous parts of Johnson County should not be included in the same district as rural counties, since our interests can and do vary greatly. I've also referenced some key data in my written testimony, so I won't repeat that. If you could refer to that, that'd be great. But I do have some recommendations. Regarding Senate District 37, given the extreme growth that has occurred in this district, it makes sense that the northern part of Senate District 37, at least the rest of Overland Park, can be merged with any of the surrounding districts and should not remain with very rural rest of that district. Regarding Kansas's 3rd congressional district, if Wyandotte and Johnson counties cannot be kept together in their entirety due to population increases, my recommendation is that the most densely populated parts of the counties should be maintained in the 3rd district. For example, the 3rd district currently extends west past DeSoto and south to Lewisburg. Those areas are generally more rural than the closer suburbs of Kansas City. West of DeSoto and south of 175th Street could be the line that divides the new 3rd district if necessary. In addition, Olathe, Blue Valley, and Shawnee Mission School Districts should be maintained together in the 3rd district, since the districts have close ties within the community, the school districts. Wyandotte County should be maintained with the most populous parts of Johnson County in the 3rd district to prevent dilution of our urban, suburban, and minority voices. To summarize, the Kansas City metro and surrounding suburbs are currently whole within the 3rd district, and the most populous parts of both counties should remain in a single district. Residents of both counties have shared interests in representation, including community and school districts. And again, please let us as voters choose our representatives, not the other way around. Thank you for your time and attention in ensuring fair maps.
Thank you very much. Next up will be Bruce Carter, followed by Carrie OBrien.
Ready for me? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, can we back up? Okay, can we see me now? Okay. I'm Dr. Bruce Carter, and I live in downtown Overland Park. I have lived there in that area of that 1 mile area most of my life. And one of the things I want to speak to, and I applaud Amy, who said it so very, very well before me, is about the 3rd Congressional District. Our district with Wyandotte County is very diverse and is growing more diverse by the minute. And that integrity of that diversity needs to be respected and maintained. We know that the district is going to be altered, as it was stated earlier, because we are over our population limits. So some of it is going to have to go away. But it needs to be geographically maintained as much as possible, and also respecting the diversity. Also, it is a district that is winnable by either party. In the last 10 years, we were represented for 6 years by Representative Yoder, who was a Republican. The last 4 years, we've been represented by Sharice Davids, who is a Democrat. That allows us as voters to make the decision and gives us a choice of who our representative is going to be. And Amy stated it very well earlier that this should not be the decision of a redistricting committee who our representative is. We as voters should be making that decision. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Next will be Carrie OBrien, followed by Justin Rosenberg.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Carrie OBrien. This is only my 2nd time speaking at a meeting like this, the first being the listening tour in August. Thank you for continuing to give us the opportunity as ordinary Kansans to express our perspectives on redistricting. I want to get straight to the point because we don't have a lot of time here today. The release of the census data since our last meeting, I've seen that maps are starting to get drawn to account for the population changes. I too have tried my hand at redrawing maps using some of the online tools that are available for the job. And I don't envy the task that you have before you. This task is immense, and the goal of making this process more fair is challenging. In previous sessions, you asked individuals to point out what parts of our community should be taken into account. Community hubs, highways, businesses, etc. I understand that you want to get to know the communities all across the state, but I do think that some of these data points are anecdotal and serve to distract from the fact that many of us are here because we're worried that you're going to have a partisan gerrymander. Telling you that I live near I-35 or this business or that business doesn't tell you the same story as saying, I'm a millennial who had to put off home buying because of the pandemic. Or I'm concerned about where I eventually do buy a home because people are actively trying to make my vote count for less because I don't vote Republican. The voters should be able to choose who they want to elect. The elected should not be able to choose their voters. Throughout this listening tour, you have heard many perspectives on making changes based on population shifts and census numbers. Make a commitment today to draw fair and unbiased maps for Kansas. Do not redraw lines based on fear of blue districts. We should not cement today's partisanship and polarization into the next 10 years. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Next up will be Justin Rosenberg, followed by Carol Kelly. Sir.
Hi, I'm Justin Rosenberg. Thank you for listening. This has been one of the most boring topics, but it can make a difference in a functioning democracy. In preparing my comments, I discovered Dave's redistricting tool. We want a fair map, and we want, let me explain three maps that I did. Hey, good. whoever did it. Shortest split line is a fair algorithm for creating maps. It simply looks at a map and finds the shortest line that can be drawn that has the population. It then takes the remaining 2 districts and applies the same algorithm. This algorithm doesn't take into consideration county lines, precinct lines, even houses. I hand drew the shortest split line algorithm the best I could considering counties. So this map is for the 4 districts and what it would look like if you did a shortest split line. I also drew a different map. Around cities. This is with the assumption that, city folk and country folk have different political ideologies. So there I looked at, what could I do for the 3rd district? It was very small. And then I went around the kind of the I-70 cities and Wichita. So that's very different than what we have, but I wanted you to know. Okay, phew. All right. I have the least change map, so I kind of did what I could to and I loosely say least. I don't know if it's the least mathematically. The amount of changes to make it proportional. So there I put the map of the districts as they are today, and then next I have the map as I did. So on this one, we already have the 3rd district is not counties, and I kept that to kind of eliminate the difference between the two. And there's the 3rd district, and then you can see how I highlighted and did the other thing. And I want to just real quickly, because I had to get that submitted beforehand. The Dave's redistricting map has other tools like there we go. Shorter split line gives compactness and splitting 100%, and then competitiveness 63%. The city center gives splitting 50% and 34%. And then lastly, the least change gives splitting 93%, compactness 78, and 21. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Next up will be Carol Kelly, and that, as I understand, that's the last signed up from Stillwell. And then the next person after will be Connie Brown Collins from Bonner Springs. So Carol, please.
Hi, my name is Carol Kelly. I live in Overland Park, Kansas. I've been here for 35 years. It's a wonderful place to live. I'd like to see it continue that. I know you guys have already heard all the information. You've seen the maps. You heard the testimony. Amy's was very explicit. Mine is pretty basic. Basically, it says you have the power. Apply it fairly, not unfairly. Do not be politically motivated, but fair and equitable. I lived in Chicago for 8 years. There's a great deal of difference between Chicago and downstate Illinois. Same thing with the population in Kansas. So all I ask is you be fair and non-political. Do you really want to teach your children that lying, cheating, and stealing is a good thing to do if it gets them what they want? Thank you.
Carol, thank you very much. Okay, next up, do we have Bonner Springs on the line? And we have Connie Brown Collins first up, and then Henry Chamberlain next.
Mr. Chair and members of the Kansas Legislative Redistricting Committees, my name is Connie Brown Collins, and I've been a resident of the Wellborn neighborhood of Kansas City, Kansas in Wyandotte County for 10 years and have been in and around Wyandotte County for the last 20 years. I'm the organizer of Voter Rights Network of Wyandotte County. We're a group of community organizations and individuals that we're both from Wyandotte and Johnson counties, and we are passionate about voting rights. I'm here today to implore the committees to keep Wyandotte County whole in the 3rd Congressional District and connected to the vast majority of Johnson County. I'm aware that the Congressional District 3 cannot be kept entirely intact in order to stay within the mandates of the U.S. Constitution. However, as you can see from the attached map of my written testimony, Wyandotte County can stay whole, as can most of Johnson County. As indicated, there are western, southern, and southwestern cities and townships in Johnson County that can be moved to another district, allowing the major metro area majority to remain. Wyandotte County by land area is the smallest but mightiest and most multicultural and multiracial county in Kansas. By population, it is the fourth largest and is fourth in the number of jobs in our state. Wyandotte County's average annual wage is $53,762, and that's higher than both the Kansas City metro area and the state of Kansas, making Wyandotte County an area that many Kansans come to for jobs. Over the years, it has diversified into a transportation, medical, and manufacturing center and is emerging as an international shipping point. As a member of the Wellborn community of Wyandotte, I share with my Johnson County neighbors a desire for clean, well-maintained neighborhoods, accessible healthcare, and well-maintained roads, highways, and infrastructure. Also in common are educational opportunities, business opportunities, clean environment, and responsible business development. Access to parks, playgrounds, sports, and leisure activities for families and children are equally important. My neighborhood is close to KCK Community College, grocery shopping, and convenience retailers. It is about 10 minutes from the Village West Entertainment and Retail Development with shopping, dining, and sports recreation areas. I do a lot of my shopping and a lot of my activities, medical appointments, etc., in Johnson County as well. Ours is a diverse neighborhood with white and blue collar professionals that identify as African American, white, Latino or Latinx, and Asian. This multicultural variety is on my street alone. We mostly reside in single-family, well-maintained homes within walking distance to local public schools. Though there are areas of our county that need attention and that have been ignored for too long, we are a proud and hardworking county that will band together to advocate for our rights and needs. Both major metro counties in the 3rd District thrive on collective service, employment, transportation, and educational systems. We have similar interests, issues, and concerns. We are integral parts of the greater metropolitan Kansas City area. As a result, Wyandotte and Johnson County should continue to reside in the 3rd Congressional District due to their shared communities of interest. Thank you for your time and attention to this crucial fair mapping process.
Connie, thank you. Next up will be Henry Chamberlain, followed by Alec Overman. Sir.
My name is Henry Chamberlain. I am a resident of Bonner Springs in Wyandotte County. I won't take a lot of your time this evening. I think that I was impressed with the leadoff ladies in both locations and their comments. I subscribe to both. The map that was shown most recently is consistent with both of their comments. I endorse those. I don't envy you, ladies and gentlemen, a bit, because you've got, you're going to have somebody unhappy with what you do, regardless of what it is. But, and the public assumes you're going to gerrymander the system and it'll end up in the courts. And I've been guilty of that myself. I already told my wife when some comments were made in the prior legislative session that to expect that I would be one of the people funding the litigation. But you have a real opportunity here. And I appreciate the commitments that have been made to fairness and equity. This commonality of interest between the rural and the urban areas, I understand very well. I was a farm boy from Illinois, grew up raising cattle. Everybody else that raised cattle in our area had high loaders and manure spreaders. My father had a pitchfork and an operator. I learned the cattle business from the ground up. But most of my adult life, I've lived in the Kansas City area, the last quarter century in Wyandotte County. The diversity here is part of my life. This very afternoon, I had coffee with two friends from Brazil. My firm has associates in Stuttgart, Ankara, Manchester, Sydney, Seoul. My wife was born in Mexico. My granddaughters are half Vietnamese. It's difficult for someone in a rural area, and I know and love them, and most of my life I own farms, and I'm a farm boy at heart. But it's probably impossible for a representative from rural Kansas to fully understand and represent my interests. Commonality of interest is something that the United States Supreme Court has said is not within their jurisdiction. But the Kansas courts have made no such decision. But you have a real opportunity to not only avoid a lot of delay and litigation and expenditure of public resources, you have an opportunity to restore a lot of the faith of Kansans in their legislature. And I hope and believe you will do that. I encourage you. I will support you in that endeavor to the best of my ability. And if we keep it out of the courts, God knows my wife will appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Appreciate that. Okay, hold on for 1 second. Bonner Springs, could somebody go check outside the front door? You evidently have a reporter, Katie, that's outside, and a constituent waiting to get in. If somebody could please go let them in, that'd be great. With that, while somebody's stepping out to do that, we'll continue on with Alec Overman, followed by Mike Taylor. Alec?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so hi, my name is Alec. I've lived and grown up in Shawnee, Kansas. I currently live in Lenexa, Kansas, in Senate District 21 and House District 23. I've also currently worked in Wyandotte County, and I spent 4 years living in Lawrence, attending the University of Kansas. So I know Kansas, especially Eastern Kansas, pretty well. When it comes to redistricting, as proposed in my written testimony, I suggest that you mainly follow that. This is just giving me summarization, that when doing the redistricting for the Kansas Congressional 3rd District, that we simply can maintain the connection between Wyandotte and Johnson County as proposed here. Thank you for pulling up. You can just go back down to that one. Yeah, that's it. This simply keeps all cities intact 100%. Here, no cities are broken. The only cities that are taken out are Spring Hill, Lewisburg, DeSoto, Gardner, and Edgerton. Those communities will be taken out, and I propose that they get reappropriated into the 2nd district. They fit much better into the 2nd district, which is an area of small/medium urban centers, a bunch of smaller rural towns as it currently is, and they would be better represented there versus a representative who would have the sole responsibility from the 3rd Congressional District to mainly focus on the Kansas City metro area, because simply most of the constituents here face issues based on what occurs in Kansas City, Missouri, and it's a very diverse community. Let's see. I didn't have anything written down. I've been very busy. Sorry about that. And then when it comes to also this for population wise, only goes 14 persons above the recommended population for congressional districts. But I suggest we do this because it would have a representative, best represent the people, and that's what we really want when electing members to Congress, instead of people that are not in touch or have to ignore communities. Also, if we break up Wyandotte and Johnson County, someone's going to be misrepresented. It will definitely be both counties. People will be very misrepresented, And I show the different scenarios in my map. If you separate Wyandotte and Johnson County could be in a district, can include communities as far south to the Oklahoma border, somewhere in there. And as far west as Emporia, which I don't know about you, but I don't think we really fit in with people or have the same concerns and issues as people all the way at the border or all the way out in Emporia, Kansas, where a representative will be conflicted with choosing, do I represent small town America or do I represent issues in the Kansas metro area? And then Wyandotte County, they're really going to be misrepresented and really disenfranchised by this because they would either be put within the 1st or 2nd congressional district. And it doesn't really make sense if you ask me to have a very racial and ethnic background county mixed in with a very rural white county, all a 6-hour drive west of here in Colorado. No representative is going to be able to represent both those communities and would have honestly a sole responsibility to ignore the small minority of voters in Wyandotte County if this were to be the map as shown here. And then it just would very much, and also communities here in rural Kansas will also be upset by that because they may get some attention taken away from them that would not be fully represented by them. But yeah, so I ask you that you mainly keep Johnson and Wyandotte County completely together. Also, the federal courts back in 1983 already ruled on keeping Johnson and Wyandotte County together, considering them as a community of interest. So if you were to go against that, you would be simply going against the federal courts, which have already ruled these as a community of interest. This is the map he's showing now would be if you instead broke up Overland Park, which I do not agree with, and that's basically it. Thank you.
Alec, thank you very much and appreciate the 18 pages. We have them all. It's great stuff. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to confirm that the 2 folks that were waiting to get in at Bonner Springs have gotten in.
They have.
Katie, okay, great. Thank you. All right, so next up we have Mike Taylor from Voter Rights Network of Wyandotte County, and we're followed by Cassandra Woolworth.
Good evening, committee. The Voter Rights Network of Wyandotte County is a grassroots citizen group that is interested, obviously, in voter rights, but we have a keen interest in keeping the 3rd congressional district together as much as possible, and it is possible. Wyandotte and Johnson counties are not only neighbors, but they are a strong community of interest, and we share sewer systems, we share transportation networks, infrastructure networks, and a lot of that is dependent on federal funding. It is important to our communities that one congressional representative be able to fight for that kind of funding and keep those counties together. The 22 mayors of Wyandotte and Johnson County meet on a monthly basis to discuss issues from transit to floodwater to other kinds of federal funding. And I think splitting that between 2 different representatives trying to coordinate and work for a federal funding on what is in effect, a single project would harm both communities. So keeping the 2 together as much as possible is desirable. As you well know, redistricting is really at the core of the issue a math problem. And it's fairly easy. And you've seen a number of maps tonight that keep the main portions of Wyandotte and Johnson counties together, the urban portions. And it becomes really that math problem is fairly easy to solve unless you attempt to gerrymander for partisan political reasons. And we obviously, as you're hearing tonight, urge you not to do that. The nature of our regional issues and involvement of federal agencies and funding, which treat the metro area really as one community of interest, dictates that we have one congressional representative, and I would urge you to keep that in mind. I would also finally say, after you do your work and draw these maps when you're in the legislative session, please hold another round of public hearings to allow people to comment on the specific maps that may be generated by this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next up will be Cassandra Woolworth And then that'll be the last person from Bonner Springs, at least that signed up. And then at large next, after that will be Val Ball French. So Cassandra, please.
Good evening. Thank you. And I wanted to thank first everyone for having more hearings. It really is important to get everybody's perspective on this. And I agree completely with the last gentleman who was up here about having one more round after you've drawn the maps. I think the biggest consideration today is keeping Johnson County and Wyandotte together. Since we aren't going to gain anything statewide, doing the districts like that makes the most sense. I think when you take a look at all of the maps that everybody here has put together, you're going to find out that it is keeping Johnson County and Wyandotte County together. So we don't want gerrymandering. We don't want any kind of slated political views. Aren't we done with that yet? Don't we already have enough partisan politics than to rather add to this and make the courts decide as they did in 2012? And then having your name appended to history's record about how you gerrymandered and then the courts had to decide. It's all of that. I don't want history to repeat itself. I thought I was electing better reps. Nonetheless, keeping the cities together also makes sense. I was canvassing this last session for a friend of mine who is in 37, and she had to canvass Gardner, Spring Hill, Overland Park, and Olathe. And I just want to put that into perspective. She lived in Overland Park. So why is she having to canvass Spring Hill and Gardner? Senate 37 reaches all the way out. And again, why Spring Hill and Gardner? And why Miami County at all? We have to start talking about maybe keeping cities together for city services and for communities of interest, and then just carving off a piece of Johnson County, say south of 167th Street. I'm not going to be the one drawing the maps, but again, I would please ask you to have more meetings after you've drawn them. Lastly, and just to reiterate, gerrymandering is cheating. Gerrymandering is cheating. We teach our children not to cheat. We will have them go back and turn their medal in. We can't show them that cheating is the way to win. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we're going to have Val Ball French. And unfortunately, I don't see you signed up online, but if you're there, please let us know. Okay, hearing nothing, let's move on to Chris Roselle. All right, nothing there either. Okay. Well, with that, that's all the folks that have registered and signed up. I want to draw the committee's attention to the written only testimony. We have quite a few there, as well as many from the other nights. So again, encourage everybody to go through all that, and I know you all will. Want to thank you all for your input today and the specifics you did provide. The maps were great. Appreciate all the information. It will assist us as we go through the map drawing. If you think of something, though, that wasn't addressed tonight, we have 3 ways for you to submit your comments. The first is by mail, and we have received, by email. It's redistricting@klrd.ks.gov, or by mail, and we have received quite a bit by mail. Please send your comments to KLRD 300 Southwest 10th Street, room 68W, Topeka, Kansas 66612. or go to the KLRD website at kslegresearch.org and follow the instructions for submitting comments. Again, there's no cutoff time. We want to make sure we leave this open. So if you think about it in the middle of the night, please send it. When we return to session, there was a comment made about more input. When we return to session in January, in accordance with our normal procedures and how we do business, we will hold hearings as we review products and looking at the maps that are there. And those are the other opportunities. Again, I want to thank the cities of Bonner Springs and Stillwell and the legislators in those areas for hosting the in-person experience. Thank you again to the audience and committee members for participating in this process. This was the last of our public listening events for this round. In total, we've had events in 25 cities and heard more than 150 individuals verbally and many more in writing. We are so thankful for the interest in redistricting. It is very important for our state. The communication lines are open and will remain open. I want to thank the committee members from both the Senate and the House for being here and being part of this process. I want to thank the Legislative IT Department. Thank you guys for all your hard work, and Legislative Research for putting up with me through this whole process. I want to thank you all for your input. Have a happy holiday season. I do have to say this. It's just one of those things. Go Army, beat Navy. Have a great night.